Bezmenov.
Bezmenov, yeah.
Yeah, he was a Soviet defector. Is it correct
Yeah,
to
and
say that?
he defected in 1970. Um,
You want to tell me a little bit about it? I watched a video that you showed me a little bit, but
yeah. So, I'm once again, we're the Stay Positive podcast where we promote positivity and free thought. So, the last thing I ever want to do is try and convince someone to believe anything I say. I'd rather they come to their own conclusions based on information.
yeah. With that being said, also I did not take this whole video to heart. I'm still a little torn on it, trying to rationalize a counter example still. So
Yeah.
after you explain, I'll try to
So
destroy
Yuri,
you.
you'll try. Yuri Bezmenov is a Soviet defector. So he left the Soviet Union. He came to America, and he was an expert on a lot of political things.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw how the KGB, the secret police of the Soviet Union, how they operated, or how he claims anyway. But that's that. Just take it. If you ever listen to him, you can come to your own conclusion. But so basically, he was describing how the totalitarian regime of the Soviet Union was able to be successfully put into place. He called it
It was 4 phases.
no, but he called it social diversion or
Oh, subversion.
subversion or psychological warfare. How fitting. And he said it comes in 4 phases. The first phase is demoralization, and it lasts 15 to 20 years, according to him. And the reason it lasts that long is because that's how long it takes to teach an entire generation. So his notion is basically when you're teaching an entire generation, you can teach them about all that's quote unquote wrong with your society, and you can teach them what you think is wrong personally, which can demoralize people. You'll give them, you can with this kind of tactic, you can potentially teach kids the wrong thing. You can teach them to believe in problems that don't exist, and try and, I'm not saying that happens all over the world, but that's what potentially can happen if you utilize this tactic, is teaching kids the wrong problems or teaching them made up problems, and they won't know any better because that's all they're going to learn for 15 years, and then they become adults, and then what was the next one? Destabilization.
Yeah.
Or so now this stage takes like a couple of years where the people the people who have been taught for 15 years about all the quote unquote problems with the world, they're now starting to take action, and they reach a point where it doesn't matter how much fact you show them, it doesn't matter how much evidence, it doesn't matter how much proof you give them that what they think and the problems they're thinking are wrong, they won't believe you, they won't listen to you. And not to say that was relevant last year, but that was kind of a theme.
Relevant last year.
That was kind of relevant last year, about people, no matter how much evidence you give, they adamantly say that's just not true. And the example he gave, or somewhat story he gave, was basically, even if you brought like a believer into the Soviet Union and showed him or her the dictatorship and how horrible life was in the Soviet Union, they'd say that's not true. Even if you like show it point blank in their face, they've reached a point where they're so disillusioned from 15 years of being taught a certain thing that even when you show that thing is wrong, they won't listen and they won't believe in you. And then the third step, I forget the name of the third step. Crisis. So he describes crisis as a few weeks. It only takes a few weeks to overthrow an entire society, an entire government. And the point is, tensions reach such a high point that the disillusioned people now step into action and they take over all the people that quote unquote lived in the troubled society, the society that had so many problems that they spent 15 years learning, now they're finally stepping in to take action and overthrow it and make society a better place, or so they think. And then comes step 4, which is stabilization
Normalization.
or
It's the
normalization.
same thing, yeah.
Anyway, so normalization or stabilization, whatever, same difference. The point of this step is now the previous government has been overthrown, and now the new government that all you 15-year-old studied people have now put into place. And what happens now is that government that you've supported for 15 years and you've trusted and you've put your heart and soul into believing, they take the military and say, thank you for your help. We have now secured a safe future. Goodbye. And that's when, after how many? Like close to 25 years of you devoting your whole life to that new government, you come to the shocking revelation, wait a minute, these guys are the bad guys. But only after.
Okay.
Never before. And that's the tragedy he described. It's like, no matter how hard you try and convince these people that if you keep going down this route, it'll lead to disaster, they won't listen until the gun is held at their face, which is
Yeah,
unfortunate.
I understand. So
that's what he believes, but that's just how he explained it. So take that as you will.
I mean, it makes sense when you look at it in the context of a larger government system. I don't think it applies necessarily to socialist Soviet Union or communist Soviet Union, basically. But
what do you mean it doesn't apply?
no, I just don't think that it can be applied to every possible like different.
It's not the normal. That's not what happens all over the world, obviously, but it is a tactic. Of course, like communist Soviet Union and this psychological warfare, this is not like the normal per se. This isn't happening all over the world, you can take off your tinfoil hats, but this is at least what the defector said, Yuri Bezmenov said, this is a valid tactic. It's a strategy.
I suppose it makes sense when you're trying to overthrow a system in place. In general, I mean, actually, to be fair, I think that's how most revolutions occur.
Yeah, but some of them happen naturally. Like for example, the downfall of the Soviet Union, that didn't need propaganda. People were just tired and they've had enough. You understand? So there's a difference between having a revolution because your world is actually like horrible, like you're starving in the street and poor and miserable, versus you being like a middle class, perfectly fine person, but you spent 15 years being told how bad life really is. So now, I mean, you have to think about it, like 15 years of being told your life sucks. What do you think you're going to think after 15 years? You're going to think, yeah, my life, you know what? You're right. My life does suck. We need to do something about this. Now do that times a couple million, and there you go. Overthrown society.
Look, it makes sense in a larger context of a overlying, or just complete system that's overall
countries, big empires, dictatorships. It makes sense.
Yeah,
you could
apply it to both sides. I don't think that's an issue. I think what I
we didn't say this
what I don't like necessarily is the fact that he didn't have a lot of, because I'm always a data person anyway, so I just want more examples of why this stuff applies.
He gave you like 5.
No, he gave me 5 steps. He
gave you Nicaragua, he gave you Bangladesh, he gave you a couple other Central American countries. He literally said this happened already in other countries. But it makes sense. It happened in the Soviet Union, at least according to him, and maybe he's lying. I won't deny that possibility, but I've struggled really hard with understanding why he would lie about this.
I don't think he's lying at all. I mean, If anything,
Like
he's just trying to spread the facts because he defected from the country,
Yeah,
so
he's
he
literally
has
a wanted man.
absolutely everything to lose, including his life.
Yeah.
So he has no reason to lie.
And the KGB are literally the secret police. Like, we weren't supposed to know they exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we know they exist. I understand survival of the fittest, but there comes a point as human beings, we're not animals, we shouldn't, well, we're not,
This
uncivilized.
You had to struggle there to figure out a way to describe us that still doesn't apply to where we came from, which is fish. We came from fish.
Well, we came from single-celled organisms first, but so you can make the argument we're all brain dead anyway. So
Oh.
yeah, it's it's scary. You don't know if should this ever happen, that's gonna be like a brand new time, and humanity will survive. All these